The day it happened started like any other Tuesday. I kissed my husband Nico goodbye as he left for work. "See you tonight, my love," he said, that familiar easy smile on his face. I waved from the doorway, holding my coffee, watching his car disappear down our quiet suburban street. Little did I know, that smile, that street, that entire life we had built together, was about to shatter. We were Nico and Imara, the couple everyone looked up to. We met in college, a classic campus romance that blossomed into a marriage most people only dream of. 10 years. 10 years of shared laughter, inside jokes, and whispered secrets under the covers. We had built a home, a life, a future. Or so I thought. The first crack in our perfect facade appeared a few months ago. It was subtle at first. Nico started working late more often. His phone became an extension of his hand, always face down on the table, and the easy intimacy we once shared felt forced. When I'd ask about his day, the answers became vague. "Just busy, you know, a big project at work," he'd say, avoiding my eyes. The late-night calls he claimed were from his boss, Mr. Henderson, became more frequent. The smell of a perfume that wasn't mine lingered on his shirts. I tried to ignore it. I told myself I was being paranoid, insecure. After all, this was Nico, my Nico. He would never betray me, he loved me. But the seed of doubt, once planted, had taken root, and it was growing into a thorny vine, wrapping itself around my heart. That Tuesday, I had a half day at the elementary school where I teach art. I decided to surprise Nico. I stopped by our favorite bakery and picked up his favorite almond croissants, still warm in the bag. I imagined the look on his face, the surprise turning into that loving smile I adored. I drove to his office, a sleek modern building downtown. My heart felt a little lighter, the doubts momentarily silenced by the sweet smell of pastry and the anticipation of seeing him. I walked into the bright, airy lobby and headed for the elevators. Nico's office was on the 10th floor. As the elevator ascended, a strange sense of dread began to creep back in. I shook it off. This was a good thing, a surprise. As I stepped out onto his floor, I saw his assistant, Clara, at her desk. She looked up, her eyes widening in surprise. "Amara, what are you doing here?" Her voice was a little too high-pitched, a little too strained. "Just thought I'd surprise Nico with a treat," I said, holding up the bakery bag with a smile. Her own smile was tight, her gaze darting towards Nico's office door. "Oh, that's so sweet. But he's in a really important meeting right now. You probably shouldn't disturb him." Her nervousness was palpable. Red flags were waving frantically in my mind. A meeting? He didn't mention it this morning. "Is Mr. Henderson in there with him?" I asked, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. Clara swallowed hard. No, Mr. Henderson is out of town this week." My blood ran cold. Out of town. The late-night calls, the lies, it all clicked into place with a sickening thud. "Who is he in there with, Clara?" I asked, my voice dropping. She looked away, unable to meet my eyes. That was all the answer I needed. I walked past her desk, my footsteps echoing in a suddenly silent office. The croissants felt like a 10-pound weight in my hand. My hand reached for the doorknob of his office. It was slightly ajar. I pushed the door open, and there it was. My worst nightmare, playing out in fluorescent office lighting. Nico wasn't in a meeting. He was standing by the large window overlooking the city, his arms wrapped around another woman. His head was bent, his lips on hers. It wasn't a fleeting peck. It was a deep, passionate kiss. The kind he used to give me. The woman had her back to me, but I could see her hands tangled in his hair. The world went silent. The air was sucked out of my lungs. All I could hear was a loud, roaring sound in my ears. The bakery bag slipped from my fingers, the croissants tumbling onto the plush carpet. The soft thud made them both jump apart. Nico's head whipped around. The color drained from his face, his eyes wide with a mixture of shock and sheer panic. He saw me. He saw the devastation on my face. The other woman turned, and my world tilted on its axis. It was Sarah, my friend, one of my bridesmaids. The woman who had helped me pick out my wedding dress. Amara! Nico breathed, his voice a hoarse whisper. He took a step towards me, his hands outstretched as if to explain, to fix the unfixable. Sarah just stood there, looking at me with a deer-in-the-headlights expression, her lipstick smudged. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. My mind was a whirlwind of betrayal and pain. The man I had given my heart to, my life to, and the woman I had trusted as a friend. Together, in his office. The lies, the perfume, the late nights, it all made a horrifying, crystal-clear kind of sense. I just stared at them, the two people who had just ripped my world apart. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. Not yet, I just felt numb. A profound, hollow emptiness where my heart used to be. Without a word, I turned and walked away. I walked past Clara, who had tears in her eyes. I walked out of the building, into the bright afternoon sun that seemed to mock the darkness that had just consumed me. I got in my car and just drove. I had no destination. All I knew was that the life I had woken up to this morning was gone forever. The love I thought was my forever was a lie. And the man I called my husband was a stranger. This wasn't the end of a chapter. It was the end of the entire book. And I was left standing alone in the ashes, with no idea how to even begin to write a new one. Thank you for listening to my story. It's been a long journey of healing since that day. If you've ever experienced something similar, know that you are not alone, and it is possible to rebuild. Please subscribe for more stories about finding strength after heartbreak.